Hello and welcome to the Thursday show here on the Frontline Gaming Network. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri
Evening, everybody.
and Dustin Henshaw.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone. We do this show live each and every week, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Frontline Gaming Network. Welcome to y'all in the chat. It's amazing. We got some awesome tournaments talking about this week. Las Vegas Team Tournament. We love team tournaments around here. Gigantic tournament. I'm going to still do my hand thing with a Bote.
And the dads have joined the show.
Everybody that has a team is going to have a Votan on their team for the next little while. Once it's available, anyway.
Once the models are available, for sure.
And I guarantee you, none of them are going to do what Paul just did with the.
I wouldn't say none.
They better.
Maybe like two. You
gotta lean into it.
It becomes the wah of the Votan, the hand gesture.
Yes.
Before firing each beam weapon, they must.
Every other Votan player has to do it too.
Look, we're probably going to be talking a fair amount about Votan in the coming weeks. That is coming. As everyone prepare for it. It's going to be one of those things. Here we're going to be talking about what we're a team tournament we're going to be seeing. This is always fun to run down because the number of factions is limited by the number of teams and codexes that you can be represented on the teams. And so seeing what the consensus, what seems to be amongst other teams about what the best grouping of list to take is always a fun exercise. And so, let's just jump right into it. This is a 234 player tournament, 46 teams, 6 rounds, 5 players per team. Las Vegas, Nevada. What is not to like about going to Vegas and playing Warhammer 40,000? What are we going to see there?
Let's have a look-see. We're going to have 21 Sisters of Battle, 12 Custodes, 2 Admech, 12 Astra Militarum, 9 Grey Knights, 6 Imperial Knights, and then the Space Marine Super Faction, we have 1 Dark Angel, 4 Space Wolf, 9 Blood Angels, 1 Black Templar, 1 White Scar, 1 Imperial Fist, and 1 Death Watch. Chaos, we're looking at 1 Chaos Soup, 18 Chaos Space Marines, 8 T-Suns, 8 Death Guard, 15 Demons, 12 Renegade Knights. Ooh. Xenos, there's 19 Necrons. That is not really a surprise. 12 Orcs is a bit of a surprise. 12 Tau. Hive Mind, there's 22 Tyranids. Still a G-Star cult player, though. There's one there.
There's one?
There's one. Eldari, there's a 1 Eldari, 4 Drukhari, 6 Harlequins, and 6 Suriani. So that means the faction podium is Tyranids topping it all off at 22. Sisters of Battle in second with 21. And then Necrons at 19.
Honorable mention to Chaos Space Marines with 18 representation, so 1 off hitting that podium. But yeah, and the super faction stats, the only thing of interest here is just how many freaking Chaos players are coming out of the woodwork in Northern America. It's actually kind of insane to see because they're sitting equal with the Imperium right now. Despite Imperium having, you would think would be more takeable factions, I think that's not the case anymore. I think Chaos have more usability in the meta right now, especially I think in the gamut of team events. But what we're going to see is we've got another team event coming up next where this isn't the case. So this is why I'm saying Northern America is like the Chaos heartland of the world right now. It's kind of crazy to see.
Folks love Chaos Space Marines around here, and I like the fact that there are many playable legions. It's like it'd be hard to show up with a legion and people like, oh, you just must have been a fan for a long time. It's, I'm sure there's some of those, right? But there are some real functionally playable legions that you're going to see on the tabletop, which is, I like, because again, when the bad guys are doing well,
everyone's happy. The next thing of note here on the super faction stats is even though I didn't have Chaos Space Marines as their own super faction here, because our deal is if they hit the podium, I'll pull out the faction stats, which I have for the last of our events this weekend. But they are at 18. Space Marines are at 18. We are reaching some parity between the dark and the light, like Space Marines, depending on which way you see it. They could be interchangeable. But I think that's a beautiful, homogenous stat to have.
This is a weird, makeup, if you ask me, again, because we only have, what's our Tyranid count?
22.
22. That's not even half the teams.
The teams.
Have Tyranids.
Yeah. That's actually crazy to think about.
Half don't have Necrons, do they? Or was it just a half?
That was 19 Necrons.
No, 19. Nobody, there is not. So there's 46 teams. There is no one with more than 22. So 23 would be half the teams took them.
Yeah.
No one took not even half the teams took the same. So that's very interesting.
That's a crazy stat. And now, if
Yeah.
you've been following Team, let me break down why that is, because there are a few dominant armies in the meta right now that either are dominant because their point scoring ability or just aggressiveness, or like Tyranids or whatever. People are like, oh, the Tyranids have a weak secondary game. Well, if you don't have any models left, they're going to score a lot of points.
No, yeah.
Yeah. The Necrons have a crazy scoring potential. Same with the Adeptus Sororitas, but yet we're not seeing them on every single team slot. And I'll go so far as to say is like, okay, cool. I understand Adeptus Sororitas is a model intensive army. And so it's maybe even difficult to play the Borrow Hammer game in a team tournament, and everyone just brings together enough to make an army. But the Necrons, not necessarily difficult to get an army together for Necrons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. And especially seeing as 3/4 of the current best Necron army came in the freaking Indominus box.
Yeah,
all
true.
the score packs, all the characters, the Silent King came out in that release as well. If you just bought most of the stuff that came out then, you've got 3/4 of what you need now.
And also fairly, no slight to Necron players. There's lots of artistry that can happen or whatever, but you can get them on the table fairly quickly, and it looks like you've got a professional Necron force.
The only lament that I hear Necron players say is that they can't play Warriors at the moment because everything else is too good. Why play Warriors when the only thing they bring to the table is OBSEC and everything has OBSEC? So
yeah.
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So with these stats here, what are we missing? What are the things to watch out for here? What have players opted for? In the line here.
Well, it's actually an interesting balance of where the meta is right now, because you're looking at, like you said, armies like Tyranids who don't have a great secondary game, but will still 20-0 opponents because of how oppressive they are. And then you have the other side of the coin with Sisters and Necrons, who it doesn't matter who they play, they will just score points. So the mix you can have in teams right now is so diverse. That's why team events are so freaking good right now, because you can have anything and make it viable in the meta right now.
So I have a theory here is that the demons have opened up that one of those slots. They still have a little bit of the newness, and I'm willing to bet that maybe half those demon players might have been Necron players, or Sisters players or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know this to be true. This is just theory. Is that what has shifted from when we look back at the ATC and those numbers for the ATC? You could plan. There's 60 teams. There were 40 Necrons.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the number of players for these kind of events hasn't exploded exponentially with the release of demons. So there's some robbing of Peter to pay Paul to get some demon players.
Players have opted to go another direction for a reason. These are things that are rarely by just accident or whatever. There's a calculated reason these players are examining.
I would say there's quite a few Tau players who have dropped off. Usually we would see in Northern America, we would have seen a huge proponent of Tau players. We would see more Space Marines. In addition, there are a lot of factions that play similar to what they would have done that have been swapped out. One, for example, is for some reason there's 12 Astra Militarum, yeah? Don't know why. There's only 6 Imperial Knights, but there are 12 Renegade Knights. So this is a little bit of a tangent. Is that one we want to unpack? The fact that... in Northern America, they've gone for the dark side of the Knights rather than the light side of the Knights?
It sounds like with everything we're saying with Demons and Renegade Knights over Imperial Knights that all of the Loyalists are they're switching over.
They're switching over. Is it all the Loyalists?
All the Loyalists.
They've read the pamphlets. They like what they see. There's cookies, as
Horus wants you.
The rumored cookies are true.
One thing to note is that when we look at something like the Space Marine Super Faction, which honestly we could have done something similar with the Chaos Space Marines one, but I don't feel like they have as much maneuverability within inside their Super Faction. You can't really take Chaos Space Marines from, as I've yet to see, I'm willing to be proven wrong, and make a oppressive fire base like you still can with Iron Hands in Space Marines. Whereas, you do have that juxtaposition between the super defensive Space Marines and the super offensive Space Marines. Whereas I feel like Chaos Space Marines is just super offensive. Blood Angels is over and above the most taken Space Marine sub-faction. It's got 9, and the next one down is Space Wolves, considered to be another aggressive archetype build. So they make up 13 of the 18 Space Marines in representation, boys. Is that just people narrowed down, this is the best thing Space Marines have to offer for a team at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. If you're gonna come with Space Marines, and someone actually pointed out in the chat, is that the spine on that Imperial Fist player Must
The cojones is just like
must be
never
strong.
heard of you.
Yeah, so again, if I have to, give us a prediction here, is that there's been probably a move towards shooting with player placed terrain, because there's going to be, that is a factor here, I think, and I think players maybe think that they can line up
Mm.
better angles for themselves, and so that's maybe influenced some of the lists that we've seen, or lists that people have not taken.
Yeah, and player place is an interesting one when you take into account how demons interact with terrain. Do you boys think player place is a boon or a deficit for demons?
That's a tough call, because it
It's
really
actually
comes
hard.
down. Yeah,
It's
it
actually
comes
hard to
down to the
quantify.
players themselves. So you can, because if you can set up if you get one more favorable placement than your opponent, then no matter what, you're doing well.
It's like, but see, the thing is, it's such a weird thing for the demon player. Do I prioritize giving myself moving lanes and landing positions for my big Riblies, or do I prioritize giving myself a staging point for my flamers to hit midboard? Like, where do you where do you weigh your terrain placement? How do you like, what is the most important thing to do in that situation? That's really interesting to unpack. But anyway, we'll hit a transition and start talking about some of the top teams in attendance. We have 3 juicy ones for you guys. The first of which is Gentleman Gaming, our very own PJ Pants Alan Abramovich. In attendance. He's playing demons in this one. He'll be the demon one we list. But jumping down to this 5-pack, we have Necrons, Expansions of Conquerors. It's standard. The only thing different about this list to others, it's got two max units of Locust Destroyers, of Daka Destroyers, which I think is a great little piece of tech there. Then they have a demons list. This is a Khorne Patrol and an Undivided Patrol, if I remember.
And this had to take the place of the Tyranids here. That's why those demons are there.
Exactly right. Yep. Triple big boys and 4 blooders. I think this is the Scarbrand, Bellacore, and very extremely hard to kill Bloodthirster combination, if I remember right. 4 bloodlet units and then just some MSU around there. I think it's 2 units of 4 or 5 flamers.
And flinging one up and then teleporting 3 Bloodthirsters into the mix. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah, it's actually quite flexible what it can do, because it can deploy all the big Riblies, or it can be like, well, I'm playing against Tau, I'm going to get Alpha Struck, so here's just Bellacore. Bellacore yeets turn 1, turn 2, bang, all my stuff goes in, whole army commits. Assyriani, this is Hail of Doom, just the usual suspects. Then we have 1,000 Suns, Cult of Duplicity, 20 Scarab, Cult Terminators, usual suspects again.
Real difficult to deal with.
Yeah, then a Tau list, which is Tau Sept, which is 3 big crisis bombs and 2 bombers. It's very inelegant and will smash you in the face of table you. So that's the 5-pack from that one, and perfectly astute, because the only thing missing from this lineup is Tyranids. You'd be like, well, this has got all the usual suspects. Maybe Sisters and Tyranids would be the 2 that you could see in exchange for 2 factions here. But yeah, I honestly think one of them went out for demons, and they've just got a player for every other faction. They're like, well, these guys are just good at what they do.
Well, this is part of that meta shift that we were talking about potentially here, is that demons in the place of Tyranids and/or Sisters, 1,000 Suns in the place of the Tyranids and/or Sisters. Everything else is as you would expect it here, and Tau pretty good, especially in the team format.
Yeah, dude, Tau in the team format is no freaking joke. Dustin, what do you make of this one?
I love it, but I also love I'm going to point out the Tau with the triple crisis bomb again. Like,
it's terrifying.
People kept saying, "Oh no, you can't do that anymore." I don't know. I've seen it every week for the past few weeks, and it's done well.
Well, there's still like 2 other builds you could do that have the same level of oppression. Like, and sorry to say, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that gets that list in your team, when people take their team list and like, well, we need an oppressive firepower list to put up first. That slot is just going to get upgraded in a couple of months when Votann does the same thing and people put that instead of their Tau, or in addition to their Tau list. It's going to get scary out there, guys, on those light tables, on those first couple of put-ups, when you're just like, they put up Votann. What do we do? I guess we're giving them a big win because we ain't got an answer.
I've said that before with other people that are talking about that when Votann gets added to their list too. Is okay, which one of you has the worst matchups against everybody else? Because if you're going to take a loss, you may as well take a loss against Votann.
Take the one that helps us the most. The only one here that I question is T-Suns. For my mind, T-Suns have been falling off a little bit in team events. Not because they don't do what they do, but in team events we had the 20-0 system, which for the boys or want to explain better than me. But 20-0 means that the differential, the amount of points you beat your opponent by, gets put into a 20-0 system. If you beat your opponent by 51 points, you get 20 points going out of that round, they get 0. And then it's in increments of, 19 to 1, 18 to 2. A max of 20 points can be scored. If you're within 5 victory points of your opponent at the end of the game, that's a 10-10 draw. 6 points is an 11-9 your way or their way, then 12-8, etc., etc. T-Suns do not get big differentials. We have seen this. It's been seen at multiple levels and multiple things. But what they are very consistent at doing is being a put-up and being a foil to people's other high-scoring armies. They're like you don't use them to get wins, you use them to be the blanket.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like the Thousand Suns in this case is one of the defenders they want to put down. Maybe not the first defender because the Necrons might more likely do that. Maybe even the Assyriani because they're just versatile that way. But they're the ones that can go down there and they can take away a matchup that they're not going to get a big differential, but it's one that the other matchups don't want. The other armies don't want to have that either. So it takes away that bad matchup from them and just does okay. We'll go even. Maybe I'll get a small win. Then because T-Suns do have some decent matchups to get some better differentials, and if they have that choice to pick as a defender, they can actually score a few extra points, and it's just a bonus if they can take away one of those bad matchups from the rest of the team. That gives you a huge boon then, because T-Suns, even if they don't get that favorable matchup, like you said, they will still score. Like they'll
throw the blanket over somebody else's big score.
Exactly.
All right. Jumping down to the next top team in attendance. This is best in tabletop. They have up in their 5-pack. First is Eldar. This is a Yunari build with the Yinkan with 2 big Harley bombs. Then it's got MSU, Assyriani, good stuff, and 8 D cannons. That's 2 units of 3 D platforms and a unit of 2 D platforms, which is very, very scary. Very scary. Forces, an actual genuine Force of the Hive Mind. 2 weeks in a row, Dustin. Force of the Hive Mind build's coming out, or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I know who that is.
Yeah, we know who that is. That's Alex McDougall.
That's McDougall.
He has a Kraken and Twisted Helix pile built. He's got Warriors and Ravenous. He's got 3 into Warriors, 2 units of Ravenous, 10 Pure Strain Gene Stealers, and then a bunch of MSU Acolytes to go around and do a bunch of misc scoring and R&D and stuff like that. Then we've got Sisters, just bloody rose, good stuff. Chaos Space Marines, which Creations of Bile. 10 Termies is ubiquitous, and I'm actually seeing this more in Creations of Bile than not. Is the Biker Bomb. Is 5 bikers with a tooled up sergeant that go turn 1. Get a big trade up, and then because your Creations of Bile, if you need to charge into them to remove them, they get to trade up again. And so then we've got Renegade Knights with House Epitrax, 1 big and 10 smalls. That's the 5-pack there. This brings a lot of headaches to the opponent's pairings. A lot of headaches because there's a lot of really unconventional builds here.
I really like this 5-pack. In fact, I think I like it better than the other one. I like this one better right now. Just I love the Eldari build. Obviously, I have the Force of the Hive Mind build. I always love that one too. Sisters always solid. Chaos Space Marines as Bile is just a nightmare for any melee army. They're going to see a lot of melee armies in these kind of team events. And then Renegade Knights.
Reason being, they fight on death. They basically never have to burn command points to interrupt because they're going to be able to fight. They're either fighting you when they want to fight you, or they fight on death for free.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to worry about interrupts. You just I'm going to kill you. If you kill me, it doesn't matter.
Paul, you're almost going to this event. If you were to be the captain sitting across the table from this 5-pack, what would you attack? What would you predict how they were going to use these ones? Because it's not easy to see how this gets wielded.
I think you're right. I think that there is the first put out is most likely the Forces of the Hive Mind.
I mean, arguably he's maybe second best player in their lineup, so you can have a lot of confidence in what Alex McDougall is going to provide you.
Yeah, be able to get some points, and people might not want to sacrifice things into what we counter that. Who knows? I think their second put out, then you start having to make considerations about what table is you want that knight player to be on. So that's where they have to make some considerations there. So you got to take the crowded tables first, or make sure you take the lightest table early on, depending on what your opponents are playing against. That's the mentality I'm thinking about right there.
And it's pretty plain to see that the Yunari list wants to be one of the heavy tables. Yeah, I mean, 8 D cannons that can just literally deploy and stay in its deployment zone. What, you're going to push on his D cannons and cop all the MSU Banshees and Harley bombs? No, you are not going to do that. That's freaking suicide.
So if you're just tuning in and you want to know how team events work, is that there's also scaling table terrain. So there's typically 1 or 2 dense tables, a couple of medium tables, and then 1 not so good table, and then 1 almost vacant table, with a minimum amount of viable terrain on there. And so
Exactly right.
you want to be also, if you have a big, your knights may not be good at running through terrain, and so you want to make sure that they've got good lanes of fire and don't get choked up by whatever table they happen to get stuck with. You want to have some
Mm.
control over that. That was the mentality there.
Yeah, spot on. I really like this team. I wouldn't be surprised if this team wins. I'm with Dustin. I like this team composition the best of the ones we're going to unpack. It's gonna mess with your head. The psychological impact of just having so many off meta builds is gonna be really, really cool. Last one we're gonna unpack is Team Zero Comp, FLG's almost own Team Zero Comp, because this is Reese and Frankie who started FLG. This was their club, their team. So we wanted to give them the props. Plus, they're actually genuinely a very good team. They have a Adeptus Astartes build, which is Blood Angels. It's the usual stuff, except this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to hit this to Paul to unpack when we get to the end of the 5-pack, because this is spicy new tech in the Blood Angels matchup. It's the usual stuff, as in if you're 1 unit of Death Company, 3 units of Sangard, but it's got 3 units of 5 Infiltrators and a Whirlwind, which I will unpack in a moment. Necrons, usual stuff, just 2 Catan is the build here. Leviathan Tyranids, standard stuff as well. Harlequins, this is the light Sadeth. This is the all troops in boats. That's usually 8 to 9 units of 5 troop in 8 to 9 boats. And then a Chaos Space Marines, this is Emperor's Children with 3 units of MSU, Noise Marines, and 10 Termies making up the archetype. Paul, what do you make of that Blood Angels spice?
Yeah, with all the infiltrators, I like that a lot, because with things like demons, the infiltrators are going to get you that backup. People aren't going to be able to deploy within 12 of you. So you essentially get to create that almost like picket line in the middle of the table when you have that many models. The Whirlwind is an interesting choice. I question the Whirlwind. But what it does bring to the army is a source of fight last that is basically immune because to damage, because your opponent, if they throw anything at it, what are they gonna? They're wasting things if they have to go after the Whirlwind. Where if you were to put the Judicar up there in your list, they're going to obviously be able to kind of maneuver around you, take those out, get in there and do it. But the Whirlwind does allow you to put like a backfire base. You're going to do a little bit of damage, gives you a little bit of reach out and touch someone that your army does not necessarily have, and it brings you this very powerful fight last mechanic. And so, remember I said all that congestion is going to happen in the middle of the table? You're going to get up there, you're going to be able to interact with it in probably a meaningful way.
Do you remember the other thing of what that strat does, the suppression fire strat? I looked it up when I was going through this and being like, ooh, that gives fire last, doesn't it? Like, is that all it gives?
Isn't it like half movement or something?
No, it's no Overwatch. This is you're playing 15 flamers. Scarbrand fights last, or your flamers can't Overwatch, and anything in my army wipes them now. Like, just you can't Overwatch.
That's a great benefit. I actually wasn't even thinking about that part, so that is an amazing benefit.
Exactly right. I love as soon as when it was just fights last, I was like, you could get a Judicia, probably do the same thing, whatever. As soon as I saw Overwatch, I was like, oh wow, that's clever. That's really spicy in this list now. This is full demon hate. This is like
Sentry.
Yeah.
Tepic in the chat, saying what's up from Atlanta. I'm also saying what's up from Atlanta. But says never question the Whirlwind. That's a lot of players swear by it. They're having great success. So, if it's working for you and that's what you need, and that's what you've determined that you've needed from, the engagement that you've had, then absolutely go for it. You could think of a lot of worse ways to spend the points.
Well, what this means is in the pairings, for how the pairing usually works is one team puts up an option, so they have to do, this is what we call the put up. They have to put up a player, and then your opposing team will give them 2 options of who they get to pick. When you have that Blood Angels list in the lineup and you're playing against your opponent who has demons, they can't use that demon player as a put up. Because then if they put up the demon player, they get offered the Blood Angels, and they get offered something that is maybe a little bit worse than the Blood Angels. They can't take the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels are literally built to ruin them in just about every way, unless your player is 3 times better in freaking Houdini. But so you get offered the giant douche and turd sandwich, for lack of a better explanation. And so as soon as you have something like the Blood Angels list in your lineup, and there's lots of different equivalents and comparisons you can make in the meta for something that does the same thing to different factions. But as soon as you have one of those in your lineup, and there's 15 demons in attendance at this event of 46, so possibly a third, if not maybe possibly even a half of your army of your matchups could be against demons. They got to really question how they use those demons now. They have to use them fundamentally differently than possibly they wanted to, and that could just equate to a one round.
Yeah, absolutely could be. Oh, we got another shout out for Atlanta in the chat. Norgo Matt, tell you some good burger places to hit up if you are in the area. Send me those DMs. Tell you where to eat.
Paul definitely knows burger places and taco places. We've established this for sure.
A connoisseur of sorts.
A connoisseur, yes.
And we got a player, Mark Perry, in the chat, asking if he's the only Chaos Soup player at this event. I seriously doubt that. But
in the world,
up in the chat, yeah.
The Chaos Soup, there is one Chaos Soup in attendance.
I guess it's Mark.
I do believe it's Mark Perry in the stats. So there you are, mate. You one and only. Mind you, there's only one Force of the Hive Mind as well. So there is.
Okay, there you go.
Who's winning this one? I'm personally going for best in tabletop because I like their lineup the best.
I like their lineup too.
Oh, so I got to pick something different. I need a team name to pick.
Can't help you, brother.
46. I got nothing.
We're gonna get team names up here on the next one. Not in the next team list we talk about, but in the next time we talk about team events.
We'll do a scroll of the team names, and we'll do it at like 3 times speed. Them.
That one.
There we go. But best of luck. It's hard to lose at a team event because they are so much fun. So if it's not on your schedule to do, check them out later for next year. Next time you get to go.
We are taking a little bit of a short flight over to the other side of the world right now for the next one, boys.
Yeah, next one coming up in Poland, the Polish Team Championships. I will butcher this name.
You got it.
Better you than me, brother. I didn't want it.
Badozchuk. That's what it is.
It sounded great until the second time you
There's two. There's an SZ.
I know. It was great, and then I don't know, man. That second emphasis. It was good. It was good. There's no way that was wrong.
The CZ snuck up on me, but it's 140 players, 28 teams of 5, 5-round event.
All right, well, let's see what's going to be there then. For the Imperial Super Faction, there's 11 Sisters of Battle, 4 Custodes, 2 Admech, 2 Astra Militarum, 4 Grey Knights, and 15 Imperial Knights. So they liken the Imperial Knights over in Poland. Space Marines, there's 4 Astartes, 1 Space Wolf, 7 Blood Angels. That's pretty clean. Chaos, 5 Chaos Space Marines, 2 T-Suns, 6 Death Guards, 6 Demons, 2 Renegade Knights. So the opposite here, the Imperial Knights really outweighing the Renegade Knights. Wow, okay. Xenos, there's 15 Necrons, 2 Orcs, and 15 Tau. Hive Mind, there's 12 Tyranids, 3 Genes to their cults. And Eldari, there's 3 Drukhari, 5 Harlequins, 10 Assyriani, and 1 Inari. Meaning the faction podium is Imperial Knights, Necrons, and Tau, topping it off at 15. Tyranids in second with 12, and then Sisters of Battle in third with 11. That top is, aside from the Necrons, that's a little surprising. But what happened? What's going on in Poland? Why are Imperial Knights completely outnumbering Renegade Knights?
So
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I'm of the opinion they've got it right, unfortunately. I think Imperial Knights have shown to be, well, when you're in smaller team events, when you don't really kind of have the option to take both, lest one of them cop a heavy table and get wrecked, you kind of run into the issue of, if we're going to take one, which one do we take? There's one distinct difference between Renegade and Imperial Knights, and there's one thing that Renegade Knights don't have that Imperial Knights do have, and it's called the Free Blade Lance. And that is the kicker that I think makes Imperial Knights one ding better.
One ding binger. No, you're one ding binger.
Than the Renegade Knights when it comes to picking which one of them you are going to take. And for my mind, that's what cracked it for me. That Free Blade Lance, the flexibility you can build into it, the extreme mastery of the game you can get by playing it appropriately, and then in addition you've kind of just got kind of better secondaries. If you're Imperial Knight, you kind of just got a
secondaries. No, you're right. The secondaries for Imperial Knights are actually way better.
They're just going to value all that mortal wound dish out, so just wanting to vaporize units and creating what is like almost like a mental advantage, going into games because nobody wants to just get vaporized.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think the Imperial Knights do have the edge on Chaos Knights. I do still think, we said it before too, I do think the Chaos Knights have the potential to get bigger differentials if they're in the right matchup. But overall, Imperial Knights, they're more consistent. I think we talked about this before too. Like they're just more consistent with what they can do, and like you said, the options that they have, they can build in team events, especially to exactly what the team needs.
Exactly right. This one, the stats for this one, the vast majority of them were lovingly provided to me by Masej Juzek. Apologies if I butchered that. I most likely did. That is how I roll. And yeah, he gave me this with a bunch of extra notes as well. I did a lot of the faction stats, but a bunch of the notes he gave me on the top teams and a bunch of the insights into the event he gave me specifically. It's good. I've got a comparison slide between this and the LVTT at the end of these two. We got a little bit of side by side comparison of the factions, who's taking what, how the metas are different for different sides of the earth. I can tell you right now, Poland is possibly the biggest Shark Tank nation in the world. The highest percentage of international level players probably reside in Poland. You could make a case for a couple of other countries, but if Poland isn't number one, they're on the podium. They're on like the Mount Rushmore of Shark Tank countries in this on this earth.
Well, like in terms of like density of good players in the
percentage of international level players who could go to the WTC. Like they have one of the highest percentages. And so when I looked at this one, I was like, I expect it to be really boiled down. I expect the builds to be really boiled down, well oiled. In fact, there are more factions represented here than I thought. I thought maybe a great example is the Space Marines. There's only 3 Space Marine sub-factions taken, and hell, one of them is a generic Astartes for some reason. They didn't list them. But it's the same. You see 7 Blood Angels. We had 9 Blood Angels over at the LVTT. So it's pretty much the same percentage of the overall faction. It's was 9 out of 18 over there, half, and is 7 out of 12. So a little bit more over here, but it's much more squished. Like the best stuff, the best in slot stuff has been taken just more and more and more over here, because I think it's just more of a Shark Tank. There's not much room to wriggle and have a good time. These guys want to do really well so they get on the national team next year and put their best foot forward. So this is a really interesting one to unpack, and we're going to do most of the faction crossover stuff in the last one. But how funny is it that the faction podiums are almost exactly the same, with the exception of Imperial Knights and Tau being added to them from this one, from the LVTT to the Polish Team Championship. They both have got Necrons, Tyranids, and Sisters of Battle in some order of the podium. It's just that this one just has freaking Imperial Knights and Tau slapped on top as well.
Do you know why? Because team events are solved.
Are they? What do you say?
Until Votann comes out.
Yeah, what do you say?
So
I just feel like there's actually, because we see so much of, it's also because there's 5 team events. But we're talking about 5-man teams right now, because WTC, I think, is one of the few that actually does 8. There's like 1 or 2 that have done 6. But the 5-man teams, there's 3 codexes that are just like almost auto-includes in everything. But because now there's multiple codexes that'll do the same thing that those 3 codexes do, in terms of like Necron Sisters, I feel like they can both serve the same purpose, but a lot of teams will take both if they can. Mm-hmm. Tyranids and what was the other one? Tyranids and like almost Knights in a way, because of the durability and just like the bully list that they are. They'll also feel the same thing. Harlequins are just like fast scoring, catch-all. Yeah, you need some of those too. I feel like it's hard to not actually build a good team in this meta right now. You know what I mean?
Beautiful bit of Nephilim is that as long as you have a role for your army, you can pretty much take most things.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's get to some of the top teams in attendance. Like I said, a loving gentleman provided me a lot of the stats here. I do have some notations to some of these as well, and I am going to butcher every name, as you guys know. The first one up is Team Wajaski, which translates into Team Uncles, because these are like the old venerable lads in the scene. Like 3 or 5 of these guys are from the Polish national team, plus Vladdy, who's a legend in the Polish community. These guys have been pretty much touted as the favorites to win the event, and they're called Team Uncles because they're the guys. You would think that Team Uncles means like grognards or crotchety older guys. This just means these guys have represented Poland like probably 5 years in a row or some crazy ass crap like that. So they're just monsters. First up, we have Harlequins, Light, Sadith, Oops, or Clown Cars. It's just the Control C, Control V troops in Star Weavers. Necrons, Expansions, Conquerors, of course. Extra MSU, no Silent King, 10 Triarch Praetorians, and a freaking Night Scythe. I don't Okay,
I mean,
sure.
that's a lot of games. Silent King is taken off the table. Is either forced into behind some
Yeah.
buildings or whatever, and they just opted like,
Mm.
well, you will not stop my point scoring machine. Period.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I want a freaking essay on why this list is good. It's going to be good.
Night Sight just drops in the close combat wherever it needs to with the strat because they're core now, right? So anything they want, just like 3 inches away, boom.
Next up, Bloody Rose, good stuff as expected. Tau, triple hammerhead, double bomber. So this is the I put up, go first on the light table, you lose, essentially. And then or the you can't use your knights list. The Tyranids list is Kraken, 3 Ravener units, 2 Zoanthrope units, has the Swarmlord as well.
got that
Spicy
speed.
It's the speedy Kraken build, which I'm excited to see more of, because I am of the opinion that especially when Votan comes out, we're going to need speed more and more and more. And seeing as Votan doesn't interact with the wound roll, Leviathan doesn't get that much mileage. Well, their trait doesn't get that much mileage. So hoping to see more diversity in the Tyranids list.
It makes the Raveners a lot better too. But the only problem that Raveners have is they're not obsec. But it gives them obsec. Swarmlord.
Swarmlord. Exactly right.
Wait, do you mean that folks may actually have to reconsider what they're taking right now when something new comes out? What?
Oh my god! Yeah,
crazy,
wild.
What
do you make of this? Yeah. Sorry, brother.
No, I'm just pointing out that's the way it's worked from the beginning of time.
He's just being a wanker.
I love it though. I love it. So, what do you make of this 5-pack? To me, this is.
I like it a lot. I do like it a lot because the Bloody Rose good stuff. While it's not a deviation from the norm, it does work. And the triple hammerhead Talsept with 2 bombers, you're sending a message. Are you strong enough to get? Especially if that army gets on the light table for terrain and then goes first, then that person is done early and their mental fatigue is very low going into the last game of the day. Which is what you want. Anytime you can stack that up for yourself, why not? And then with the Tyranids, it's a choice. People are probably used to playing against the Leviathan. They know how the game works. On turn 1, it's going to be like this. Turn 2 is going to be like this. And now that's different. Turn 1 looks radically different than turn 1 in any other Tyranid game. And I like the stack.
It's a whole different playbook. That Tyranid list is a whole different. The Necrons almost as well could be that too. It was highlighted by the gentleman who sent me the stats that very interesting Tyranid and Necron builds. And I'm thinking that's for the purpose of just shaking up the expectations of the opposition players. They see Necrons, they see Expansionists, they see Conquerors, and they're like, ha! I know what I'm going to get versus that. And then they're like, Night Scythe, what? Huh? What does it do? Huh? Oh, I lost. Why'd you lose, Captain? He had a Night Scythe. I didn't know he had a Night Scythe. I don't know. This, to me personally, this is the perfect 5 factions that I would take to if I was to build the perfect 5 factions to take to a team event right now, it would be these.
That's a strong recommendation. That's
what you do with those factions is totally up for debate. But this is the 5-pack of factions, I think. The Tau especially. I don't know why Tau is dead elsewhere in the world. In teams events, they are.
Tau are not dead. It's like the people that are bringing them have just distilled it down to it may be back to the way it was. There are 3 viable lists, and if you don't feel like playing that, then you move on to something else, another faction.
I'm of the opinion the juice got too hard to get for most of the meta chasers, and now all that's left is the Tau players, the actual Tau players.
They've been squeezed out.
Squeezed out.
I lost to Tau in a team event the last one I went to. Tau got 3rd place in DC a couple of weeks ago. It's like
Paul Tau are dead. I don't know how that's possible.
I'm sorry, they're dead. You're right.
Yeah,
that's it.
Harlequins as well. You listen to Harlequin players. Harlequins are dead. Harlequins
are dead too. Yeah,
I will say Harlequin armies are boring. Like, not boring to play. I read them out. Like, I go through all the Harlequin lists, and I'm just like,
I got it. I got it.
I
got the answer. I got the answer.
Harlequins are solved. Okay, that's just
what's up for?
The chat has also helped with this. Is that it is getting into Halloween season and the Tower to zombies. They've come back.
The resurrection. But yeah, this is one of the teams to watch, and they're going to be absolute monsters. Next up is the Krakow Smog Brigade, which I love the name of. They start off with an Astartes build, which is Salamanders, 30 Vang Vets, big unit of Aggressors, and a big unit of Eradicators make up the build here. I was very surprised to see this one straight up. I think it's quite good. As Salamanders are going a little bit by the wayside, but we'll unpack them in a little bit. Imperial Knights, these are noble combatant Imperial Knights, as in they all just get that's the extra hits, yeah? Like competitive edge, right? Is the one I'm thinking of. Noble combatants, if you fail to get to the resolve damage step, you get another roll. So 4 attacks on an armor guy. If they all miss, you get 4 more attacks, which is 1 big and 10 small. And I will tell you, if I remember right, that 1 big is an errant, and I think this is a full yeet aggro Knights build.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Necrons is expansion to Conquerors, of course. Heaps of Scarabs and 10 Praetorians. I don't know what's going on in Poland, but there's 2 lists. They both have 10 big unit Praetorians. I got nothing for you.
I couldn't tell you what a Praetorian stat is right now if my life depended on it.
I've got no. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's up.
Dad, help us out. What does a Praetorian do? By the way, also, if you're listening to this after the fact, remember we do this live. We have a very active, great live chat community. If you haven't checked us out live yet, interacted with these champions, you probably owe it to yourself to do it because they're awesome.
Spot on. Next up, we have a tower build. This is Farside Enclaves. This is MSU Crisis. I can't remember if it's 2 units or 3 units of 3 or 4 Crisis suits, and then just 3 commanders and an actual metric ton of Kroot and Kroot Hounds for MSU. And then we have Hardison, Light Sadith, all of the troops. It's just all of the troop in all of the boats. Again, same build. So yeah, what do you make of that 5-pack? To me, not taking Blood Angels for your aggro Astartes, taking Salamanders, but essentially building a very similar thing to what the Blood Angels would be, but taking a different kind of supporting rule set for it. Obviously, Vang Vets are a downgrade from Sangard, right? I don't think anybody's going to pretend that they're not. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say so. I mean,
cheaper.
They're cheaper, and they're just as, if not, no, they're more durable.
You can give them better weapons, and you can put an invul on them if you wanted to.
I assume they have one.
No, most people have just been doing Lightning Claw Chainsword, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they're not better. I'm saying you could make a case for why you would include some of them in your army if you already had Sanguinary Guard.
You should get more other stuff. And the Salamander's secondary is busted. Just putting it out there. That thing is busted. It's so strong. But yeah, it's interesting build. The other ones that's pointed out to me is it's a full aggro Knights build, which I thought was very surprising to see, because usually we're seeing Knights taken. Well, you see a full aggro Knights build, you assume it's Renegade. You just assume it to be Renegades because that's what they do better, right?
Well, I guess not. I feel like this is a trap. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I plead the fifth.
There you go. We did get an answer on the Praetorians, is that they are jump infantry, toughness 5, 2 wounds. So
So jump Blitzguard. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not sure what they're there to. What are they hunting? What are they there to
obviously
kill? Jump. Okay.
Double their move, right? That's one thing that the infantry with. Not all of them. They're just cool looking.
Maybe that's what the Salamander's in there to get that reliable points, is to where the differential is what the secondaries are, kind of could be hit or miss. If we play into certain armies, then we're not going to get to do our fun stuff, and so.
I mean, that army should do Oath pretty well.
It'll do Oath really well. Salamander's strat pretty secondary really well. It'll do banners really well also, because it's got all the supporting heroics.
Yeah.
So you go and try and pull down banners and you get collapsed upon and stuff like that. It can be really strong. I actually really like Salamanders at the moment. I think if you didn't want to go with a full defensive or full aggro Space Marine build, I think Salamanders sit snugly in the middle and is a good third option. And if you've got the right player for it, I think it's extremely well positioned also. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting build. But we're gonna move on to the last one because we are running a bit long in the tooth. Last one is Zozo Can Do Less, and this is a running joke apparently. This is an old veteran team. This is for those people who maybe followed the WTC. This is Skark's team, who's literally played just about every WTC there ever has been. There's also Arek, who played on my team, on the Merc team, this year at WTC. So I did want to do their lists. And they have Demons with Zinch and Undivided. This has the Unkillable Lord of Change and Be'lakor plus 15 Flamers being the archetype. Tyranids, Jormungandr. Tyranids. 6 Pyrovores, 3 Biovores, 3 Carnifexes, and a Tyrannocyte make up the essentially what is
What's the
different about this
special rule
build.
on Jormungandr? Are they the
Always,
extra deny cast or something? Is that the
always count as in cover, I believe.
okay?
Then we've got Harlequins. It is I write little jokes and I've seen the same list too many times. This one is my library brings all the troop to the yard, and it's just this is a battle which is bloody roads, good stuff. And then this is the tower list here is the same tower list we saw previously. Triple hammerhead and 2 bombers. One of those hammerheads, of course, in this one and the previous one was long strike. So long strike, 2 regular hammerheads, and
Long
2
strike's going to be in
bombers.
every list. I mean, if you see a hammerhead in a list, it's more than likely good. If there's one, it's going to be long
If there's
strike.
one, exactly right. If you're only going to take one, man, long strike's such amazing value. What do you make of this 5-pack, gents? What stands out?
The Demons list stands out. I've actually not been a big fan of the Big Bird.
I'm weird on the Zinch archetype stuff. I feel like it's
aside from the Flamers, I don't really like the Zinch stuff.
Yeah, I don't hate blue horrors as long as you have other troops to do stuff that like banners for you and etc. etc. You have enough objects.
I would like
elsewhere.
pink horrors if they weren't so freaking expensive.
I would, me too. Pink horrors are good.
Do you not like the value that you get there for the splits and stuff? I mean,
for the split, like, you don't have to spend reinforcement for the splits, right?
No. You don't. No, it is.
So like, the splits is like the main reason you would take it. The problem is because now it's a 50-50 shot that you get the splits.
Yeah.
It's just
and I don't know that I'm making a case for them either. I'm just curious if that was factoring in your decision.
I do like the splits. I do like the splits a lot. In fact, I would before the new codex, I thought pink horrors with splitting reinforcement points were just like an auto include. They were incredible. So I do like the splitting, but the 150 point investment for the 50-50 shot to maybe get some splits because they're not as durable as they used to be. They're not a 4-up invuln base, right? So
well, they don't have invuls. They have
exactly
saves, and they're 3-ups.
Yeah.
What the hell is this Jormungandr build, Dustin? What the hell?
Durability. That is 100% what he's going for. With the Carnifexes, that makes perfect sense.
You're hoping just to you're running your opponent out of turns.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have the Pyrovores into the Tyrannocyte, gonna go in and flame them. The Carnifex. I don't know what else is in the list too, but it seems like at the either high aggro with some backfield.
It's all just standard. It's warriors and flyer.
So it's going to be a high aggro durability list.
I like it.
Jormungandr the special trait is to bring things in from deep strike as well, but you don't really need to do anything.
Really need to do. Yeah, not necessary. But yeah, that's another juicy, interesting 5-pack for you. So let's jump into the last slide where we're going to do a couple of minutes of comparison between these two events, and we're going to hit our last one. So there was just a couple of decent talking points that I wanted to pull out from having done both of these events. So we got the LVTT, 234 players, and the Polish Team Championship, 140 players. So do take into account there is like almost 100 players difference between these two events. But I want to look at the super faction stats. Are they like the same? Are we seeing the same kind of spread? And the biggest one that I said before was that chaos. 62 chaos players out of 234 at the LVTT, only 21 out of 140 over in Poland. But apart from that, things seem to be pretty echoing each other. 17 Eldari, 19 Eldari. Like, I mean, there's just like no Eldari players in Vegas comparatively. 23 Hive Mind, 15 Hive Mind. Imperium is pretty much about the same for the size of players. Space Marines are pretty much the same as well. But yeah, anything in the super faction comparisons jumping out at you, lads?
No, it's interesting to see that it's actually very similar for the most part. Like some of the ones that you see that are same with the LVTT and the PTC are they're the same, but you got to remember that the PTC is 100 players less, so technically, percentage-wise, there's more of them, right? So like with the Xenos, there's actually probably more Xenos there, but it's the Imperial Knights and the Tau that are just heavily outnumbered.
It's insane. Yeah, it's actually insane to see that just so many. And remember when we said before that nobody at the LVTT, there was no faction that was over 50% in representation of the teams in attendance. Every single one of the top 3, so Imperial Knights, Necrons, and Tau, more than half the teams in attendance have taken those factions, which is quite crazy to think. And also the percentage of the field that have taken them, like 15 versus 22, whereas 100 players difference. Like it is a lot of the event.
I do think you hit a point earlier on too when you're saying that Poland is like in terms of density of like really competitive WTC team event players is a lot higher than it would be like at the LVTT. Like there's a lot of players, a lot of really good players. Density wise though, there's gonna be a lot more variety of what people think is good or what they're comfortable with, right? So they're not going to be going as hard into the actual meta and just bringing what they're good with, what they're comfortable with, what they own. So that plays a factor as well, obviously.
Imperial Fists.
Imperial Fists. Like kudos to that guy bringing it.
What a legend. Faction opponent. We've already pretty much covered this. We talked about it as we broke it down. But I put out just a couple of data points of interest. 28 total factions and sub factions were taken at the LVTT, whereas 23 total factions and sub factions were taken at the Polish Team Championship. So 5 total less for 100 less players. So not as much as I thought. I actually expected to be like 18, 20 maybe difference there. But the top teams took. Both of the 3 top teams that we broke down, all 3 took an Eldari build. Of the American LVTT players, all 3 took Eldari, and all 3 were different. We had a Asuryani, we had a Harlequins, and we had a Ynnari. All 3 of the Eldari builds were all Harlequins. We're all the exact same Harlequin build for the 3 teams we pulled out for the Polish event. And all 3 of them also had Tau. All 3 of those had Tau builds with only 2 different variations. Over in America, there were 2 CSM players and 2 Necron players, which was echoed by 2 Necrons, 2 Sisters, 2 Nids. 0 CSM got taken in Poland, and very few CSM in totality were taken to that event, which is one thing I wanted to bring to your attention that I actually forgot about. What were the numbers for only 5 Chaos Space Marines taken in totality out of 140 players, whereas there was freaking 18 taken over in North America.
It's the aggression that people want to bring to the table with all that. It's awesome. To keep us back on time, I think we're actually going to take a quick break for an ad. Then we'll come back and talk about the third one. Good luck to all the people playing in team events this weekend. Let us know how it went.
At Frontline Gaming, we make the best tabletop gaming mats in the universe. Our mats are durable, rollable, foldable, wipeable, and storable. Oh, and they look damn great too. Join the thousands of tournament regulars and garage gamers who use our mats to bring their gaming surfaces to life. To ensure quality, Frontline Gaming mats are custom made one at a time, printed with high quality ink. Our immersive designs stay crisp and are available in a wide range of styles and sizes. So whether you're playing a war game or a skirmish game, whether you're fighting over an alien tundra, fantastical forest, or real world setting, there's a great looking battlefield for you. Our gaming mats are printed on extremely durable neoprene backing, so they won't slide around the table. And they're thick enough to stay flat, protecting what's underneath and allowing for slight uneven surfaces. We know from experience that an easily portable gaming surface is just better. Every mat comes with a sturdy nylon zip-up bag for storage and transportation. Whether your next battle is in your home or at the local game store, you'll be able to unroll your FLG mat and get gaming right away. Our products are all made and tested by passionate gamers at Frontline Gaming HQ right here in the USA. It's time to take your battlefield to a new level. Frontline Gaming, champions of tabletop.
We are back, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Please check out our sponsor, Frontline Gaming Network. Go to the website. It's going to be some stuff you like. I know there's going to be stuff you like, so you might as well go there. You might come away with a cool mat. You might come away
with stuff coming.
Some terrain. You might come away with a tournament ticket. You never know what you're going to come away with unless you go check out the site and peruse it.
That's right.
And they're the ones bringing you these shows and all the shows of Frontline Gaming Network. It is awesome. So we are back, as if you couldn't tell. And we're going to be talking now. We have one more. It's a singles event. Flying Monkey Con in Wichita, Kansas, USA. I'm going to be going to Kansas City in a few weeks. Really excited about that for the US Open Series. So, put that one on your radar too.
And if you missed the "Where in the World is Joe" from War Games Live segment at the start, it's because when we do cover the event he's at, you'll see his beautiful logo on the title page for the event. There he is, up there hanging out in the top left.
Where in the world is War Games Joe Live?
So this is 118 players, 6-round event here in the US. Dustin, what are we going to see there?
We are going to see 3 Sisters of Battle, 2 Custodes, 1 AdMech, 4 Astra Militarum, 3 Grey Knights, and 8 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 2 Dark Angels, 4 Space Wolves, 6 Blood Angels, 3 Ultramarines, 5 Black Templars, 1 White Scar, 1 Iron Hand, 1 Death Watch. Chaos, there's 5 T-Suns, 6 Death Guard, 3 Demons, and 8 Renegade Knights. The Chaos Space Marines, there's 3 Black Legion. Oh, they podiumed. I just realized I'm doing the breakdown of the Chaos Space Marines. 3 Black Legion, 3 Emperor's Children, 2 Word Bears, 1 Night Lord, 1 World Eater, and 1 Red Corsair. That threw me off. That was weird. Xenos, there's 6 Necrons, 6 Orcs, and 2 Tau. Hive Mind, there are 9 Tyranids and 2 Gene Stealer cults. In the Eldari, there's 2 Yennari, 2 Drukhari, only 1 Harlequin, 4 Assyriani, meaning the faction podium is Chaos Space Marines, topping it all off at 11. Tyranids in second with 9, and then Imperial and Renegade Knights, both the Knight factions, in third with 8.
They don't mess around over in Kansas. They're coming to get you. Like,
well, this is the end of the Lord Marshal Conference, isn't it? The finals.
This is the final of the Lord Marshal Conference.
Oh, nice.
It's So, do you guys know what this is?
Maybe we can explain it. Yeah, go for it if you'd like. But yeah, it's a league. I mean, these basically playing for competition in tournaments and a series of kind of related events that aren't. You basically compete as a sub challenge as you're competing in these individual events. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I think is it the third year, possibly? I think they might have taken a year or two off for COVID, but there's a first year back in full force for the Lord Marshal. And so it's like an internal ITC system. For those people who are more familiar with the ITC system, this is like your local conference, your local battle between you and the guys in a couple of states that make up the conference. And it's pretty cool. We got the person currently sitting in the number 1 seed for one of our lists for review. What do you guys... So, super faction-wise, things to note here. Space Marines are 100% alive and well in the greater Kansas area. There's a lot of Space Marines.
There's a couple, but there's more Chaos Space Marines.
There is the same...
More Chaos, at least.
There's more Chaos. Yeah. It's absolutely friggin' more Chaos. There's 23 Space Marines. There is more Space Marines than Imperium, than everything apart from Chaos. Chaos is topped it out the super faction stats with 33.
Very reliable, solid army.
There's like a lot of Black Templars there, too.
Dude, yeah, it was really weird to see so many Black Templars. I thought it was actually quite cool. I took a look at a couple of the lists just for my own sake. But jumping down into the top players in attendance, Dan Salmons currently sitting first in the Lord Marshal Conference. Hence, we've got his list on. He tells me with some humility that as long as he pretty much rocks up, he can't be knocked out of first place. I think he'd have to literally fall asleep under the table for the entire event to get knocked out of first. So I think he just has to rock up,
hey, if you're
go
tired,
through the
you're
motions.
Tired.
Yeah. If you get sleepy,
need a break.
He's playing Imperial Knights. He's playing a Free Blade Lance. He's got a super heavy detachment with an Errant, 3 Helverins, a unit of 2 and a unit of 3 Warglaives, and a single Moirax. And I can tell you that single Moirax is kitted for bear. It's got double claws, which I thought was quite interesting. And then he's got a super heavy auxiliary with another single Moirax, and this one has lightning locks. So I actually like this list. I like this list quite a lot. And this is the good example of a list that I think offers a bunch of stuff that the Renegade Knights can't compare with. The fact that you can take a list with 1 big and 10 smalls, and all those 10 smalls function differently, are specialized, are tweaked, and better than the sum of their parts at a certain role. And if you use them appropriately, I think they're just better than anything Renegades can come to the game with. Because you take Renegades and you take Herpetrax and you just get all the bonuses and the pitfalls of Herpetrax. Whereas the Free Blade Lands built appropriately, you have the catch-all kind of element of having a tool for every occasion while still being a knight list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, jumping down to the next top player in attendance, Brett Urbanowski, one of my heartthrobs. I see him at an event like there's a soldier of the guard right there. He's currently ranked number 1 for the Astra Militarum in the game right now. He's number 1 in the ITC. Of course, he's playing guard. He's playing gunnery experts and spotted details. He's got a battalion, company commander, tank commander, 6 infantry squads, 3 command squads, a master of ordnance, and just 3 manticores, like 3. He's got a patrol with 2 more tank commanders, another infantry squad, heavy weapons team, 11 Ross Demolisher, and 2 Chimeras. It's a lot of stuff, boys. None of it's very resilient. None of it's going to stick around for long, but it'll slap you around on the way out, and I'm here for it.
If you know how to play it, and you know he does, been playing Astra Militarum pretty much the entire... I don't think I've seen him play anything else. So knows very comfortable with the range bands that he has to work with, knows what he probably has to avoid to keep his stuff on the table the longest as possibly can, and can keep his eyes focused on the secondaries. Anytime you're that confident, you have to respect the player and know you're going to have your work cut out for you, even if the faction itself you might not have a high opinion of right now.
Exactly right. And Brett's one of those guys of an ilk like, Scary, Alex McDougall, those faction specialists. They play one thing. They're the best, possibly one of the best in the world at the thing that they do. And because of that, they always get that little bit of respect from their opponents. You have to. You can't nap on these guys. They'll brutalize you. And the last one, this is Will Hodges, Huron's own Will Hodges. He's playing the Red Corsairs. I was just like, there's a Red Corsairs player. I need to know what he's taking. And it's
Abaddon.
Yes, he's taking over. I hope it's just Huron on a giant base. He's got
very similarly equipped,
Exactly, they are. They've got the talent, etc. Lord Disco, Master Possession, 2 into 10 cultists, 5 legionaries, 3 into 5 raptors. 3 into 5 possessed, 6 raptors, 6 warp talons, 2 forge fiends, and 5 havocs. Yeah, in addition to Abby, like we said. This is an interesting take. Do you boys know what Red Corsairs do? What they bring to the table?
Advance and charge.
Yeah.
Army-wide advance and charge.
Yeah.
How are people napping?
And you can also thing with an Abaddon. There was no slight, by the way, on taking Abaddon. I think Abaddon should be in every cast list. It basically gives you a huge force multiplier. But you can use the stratagem to give Abaddon that ability as well. So you can get this when it's army wide. We mean you can do everything on the data slate here. I think that's how he can change his legion trait. I think.
Yeah, he does offer a lot of flexibility to the list. I quietly like this list, but the list functions a lot differently to a lot of other Chaos Space Marine lists that we've seen. This operates more like a well-rounded not like Space Marine build, a Astartes build. Where remember at the start of like 8th edition, start of 9th edition, you see a lot of builds with 2 or 3 Redemptors and then a bunch of counter assault, or a Contemptor, a couple of Redemptors and a bit of counter assault. 2 Forge Fiends at the Havocs function very similar. If you want to close distance on this, you get a bunch of advanced and charged, possessed and raptors and stuff that go and mulch you in the midboard. I like the build here. I think this is a good list. And then it's got Abby playing as like line defense, moving up behind the bricks, behind the.
It can be just such a distraction, or if you don't ignore him and you try to deal with him and you don't, then great.
You've lost.
He's a pain in the butt, is what he is.
He's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Yeah. Love the
that's
stats.
Our list.
Love how pushed he is.
Big shout out to CrootCon as well, going down in Australia this weekend. Another big Australian event. We gave a lot of service to Australia in the last couple of weeks, so apologies didn't make the show this week. I've been pretty much doing an Australian event every other week, so hopefully no one's going to hate me too much for that. But good luck to all my mates that are out there this weekend. I hope you guys have a fun and amazing weekend. I think Dan Summers with this list is going to be hard to beat. I mean, he's obviously the top player in attendance on the ranking side of things. What do you guys think?
I would favor that list too, actually, from what I'm seeing in the terms of what's showing up there.
I
want to root the guard, but
I'm giving it to Chaos Space Marines. I don't know that it's the one that we featured here, but it could very well be. Has all the tools, but I'm going with Chaos Space Marines.
Do you reckon Dan was just like, well, Brett's coming playing guard, so I can't take the Renegade list. So just go second versus Urbanowski, just get backhanded off the table by the Katachan. You'd love to, as a guard player, you'd love to see it, but yeah.
So here we are. That's the tournaments part of the show. And if you're new here for the first time, we do a little palate cleanser here at the end. I should have teed this up, let you know it was coming earlier in the show, and I apologize. But this is a segment we call the Fuego Rapido, where again we've been talking about tournaments and stats and rules and win rates and all this other kind of stuff. This segment is, just a bit to kind of let the air out a bit, hang out and have a good time. We give ourselves a series of 5 topics. Well, we don't give ourselves, either production or listeners submitted or friends of the show. Sometimes we suggest things. Some, doesn't always make it on. But we give ourselves a list of topics, 2 minutes to run down each topic. Once the 2 minutes are over, we definitely abandon that topic and go on to the next one. We also invite production on to assist us with this. Richard?
Hello.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Okay, guys. What about your teenage years scares you?
Oh,
Adam, keep
I can see
please, buddy.
the theme of this.
I don't know if I'm allowed to. Okay, give me a moment to think about the non-R-rated things I can say here.
Yeah.
Dustin.
What about your teenage? I'm trying to determine how to answer that because there's a lot of answers.
Okay, the simple one, the simple PG one. The amount of energy drinks I used to consume.
Okay.
Terrifying. As a mid-30s man, terrifying is the word.
Fair enough.
Okay, a lot of energy drinks, eh?
By all means,
Yep.
replace energy drink with other
Water.
things. In that same sentence.
All right.
I think it's all the boys and girls in the cliques and the names that will stick. I can tell the theme of this. This, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Actually, you know what? I could probably say the length of time that I enjoyed playing with G.I. Joe figures.
Oh.
And your
It's
teenage
scary.
years. That's bold.
Yeah.
That's right. My brother played him until he was like 21, so
Really?
nobody really knows that, but he doesn't watch the show. It doesn't matter.
Well, we know that.
Hey,
We know that
we
now.
play with figures that don't move and have kung fu grip. You know,
I mean,
so-
it always made sense to me. Like I played G.I. Joe for that long, then I just transferred over and started playing 40K more.
Yeah.
Paul, you officially didn't answer. I just want to let you know that.
I did. I said
Oh.
it's all the boys and the girls in the clique and the names that they stick.
Oh, you sang
What was
the
it-
song. Nice.
What's stuck, Paul? What they used to call you?
What do they call you?
No, I don't. I didn't have any.
Who
thankfully.
hurt you, Paul?
Yeah,
Yeah, who-
thankfully I avoided that.
Who hurt
That
you?
is an MCR lyric, as best I could recall. And you'll see here is what army is best suited to lead the Black Parade.
There you go.
That's what I could tell.
Is it a Baden and a Black Crusade?
Be pretty easy.
I mean,
it's an easy one. It's
basically,
on the nose.
Basically,
I
a
mean-
Black Parade.
I don't even know what this is, by the way. So it's fair.
Oh, we got to educate Adam.
Oh,
You got a minute 45. Go ahead.
I went to a concert this past weekend, My Chemical Romance, and that's some listeners submitted, friends of the show submitted. Really appreciate that. It was a very fun time. Best army is suited to lead the Black Parade. Let's see, it's got to be.
Raven Guard?
Yeah, I think Raven Guard is what's up.
Corax would come back, especially to lead the Black Crusade.
Corax Corvidae,
Yeah.
with his hair combed in
Yes.
such a way.
So yeah. Holy crap, that rhymed.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. We're reaching new highs or lows. You be the judge at home.
Oh.
Dustin?
I was just saying Black Legion. That makes sense to me, doesn't it?
Boring. Okay.
I think. Hey, I don't know. I'm looking at like I don't think anything else. Maybe if there's like a Black Orc clan. Is there a Black Orc clan?
Maybe
'Cause
in,
orcs feel like
maybe in
they'd be-
fantasy.
They'd be a lot of fun to parade. I think they make a great
You know-
parade.
You know what would be fun to be out front of what I assume is what I imagine the Black Crusade would be? What's the King of Comora?
Vect?
Vect, Astrubial Vect on his pleasure palace, leading the march.
That would be
There
weird.
we go. That would be real weird.
That'd
be
And
weird.
somehow works.
I wonder what passes for Drukari Asurani music.
I imagine it's pretty lame.
You're pretty lame.
That's the only thing. Waggo.
What? I don't know what it is, but it sucks.
What? We're fuegoing. We can't do any more. You fuegoed. You can't
That's right.
keep expounding.
It's over.
Okay.
It's over.
I can do whatever I want.
Who's the best emo band? This is going to be a quick one, I think.
See, this doesn't work because the band's not emo.
Mm.
But I will say Blink-182.
They're an emo
Huh?
band? What is an emo band? I don't know if I know any emo bands.
The only one that got me
Let me
was
Google it.
9 Inch Nails.
They're not emo. Okay, maybe they
Are they not?
I say
Really?
maybe Taking Back Sunday.
Never heard of them.
Because we got to have there's going to be some videos shared around in the group chat.
Oh, there's
later
so
on.
many. There's like a huge list on Google.
Do you
There-
know- yeah.
Do
Well,
I
you didn't ask for a list. You asked for the best.
Wait,
Yeah, yeah.
wait. A 9 Inch
I don't
Nails
even-
are not emo? I thought 9 Inch Nails started emo.
No, Nine Inch Nails is industrial.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, see,
definitely they're
we
definitely
discussed
not
that last
there.
week.
Sorry, man.
Oh, whatever. I'm
don't-
not. My finger is not on the pulse.
Do you want
and
me
I'm
to
not
name?
Your-
happy.
Do you want me to name? some
Your
bands?
answer can be your answer.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you want,
Blink-182 is not an emo band either. It
yeah.
was just.
Do you want me to
We,
name?
so
some
basically,
bands?
all of our answers are just not accurate because none of them are actually emo bands. You're gonna have to tell us some of them there.
Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance, Jimmy Eat
Not
World, Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard Confessional.
Okay, so it's between Jimmy Eats World and Fall Out Boy.
Never heard of him.
There's some generational gaps on this show right now.
There are some
You know-
we are showing the
You know what I was
generational
doing?
gaps.
You want to know what I was doing? I was doing energy drinks.
Oh,
in a
Blink
different
182.
scene.
Energy drinks.
Blink
I was
182
playing G.I.
is
Joe listening to
considered-
Fall Out Boy.
Blink 182 is considered an emo band.
Oh, they're on the list? All right,
Yeah.
well, there you
Oh,
go.
there you
Oh,
go.
so Paul did know.
Man,
I didn't.
they'd be
I
I
really
did point
involved.
out this list sometimes has very little to do with Warhammer. So, we're
It's true.
delivering that
Oh,
today.
very little.
Good Charlotte. The Good Charlotte's a good band.
I mean, I've heard him.
Fall Out Boy.
okay.
I'm sticking with Fall Out Boy.
All right, fine. We're moving on. What faction best represents the emo lifestyle?
I'm going to go out and say Space Marines because every single one of them has issues. Like,
Mm.
if you're talking about inheriting issues and then making your whole identity about your issues, it's Space Marines.
It's true. It's actually very, very apt.
I have an answer, but I don't want to say it because I feel like it's too inappropriate.
Whoa, jeez. Okay.
I like that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Dark Eldar. I'm just not gonna say why.
Oh
Is
yeah,
it-
for sure.
Like, come on,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
Dark Eldar.
Yeah.
100% it's Dark Eldar.
Like 100%.
I mean, it's Raven Guard and Dark Eldar. Raven Guard literally because they were written to be freaking Edgar Allan Poe, in meme form, and yeah, Dark Eldar.
Yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
don't. I
Don't
don't
do
know.
it. If I got my genres right, it was emos that worshipped Edgar Allan Poe? Yeah.
Worship?
You're getting closer. You're getting closer with every
Worshipped.
topic
Cool.
here.
Yeah. Sick.
Worship.
I'm
seems
all over this,
strong.
boys.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe is some sort of deity for emo? I didn't know that.
As far as I could tell, emos worship two things: Tim Burton and Edgar Allan Poe.
Tim Burton and oh my god, no, just all the original Batman movies just completely ruined for me now.
Annabelle Lee is a great poem.
Uh,
The Raven is a great poem.
is a
Telltale
great
Heart.
poem.
Come on.
Those are great poems. How are they emo? They're not emo.
No, I'm not saying they're emo. I'm saying emos worship them. They were
Don't
like,
they kind
were
of?
things
Doesn't it
they
have to be kind of
aspired to.
emo in order to worship it? I mean, is that?
I totally thought Edgar Allan Poe. I read Edgar Allan Poe's shit as like, holy crap, dude.
I don't know
Get
where
your
you read
get your
that.
shit
Man.
together,
I gotta look this up. I feel like you're making stuff up now.
I don't know. Yeah, this is what I remember.
We
as
have gone
my-
off
my
the rails,
teens.
but I love it.
Yeah.
Look, if you've hung out this far, please
Wango.
subscribe. Just
Yeah,
please
please.
subscribe.
All right. What musical artist should launch a comeback tour like My Chemical Romance?
That's okay. What? So I think a better question: what band could launch a comeback? Like what band is truly capable of delivering the heat
Remember, this
like
is
that?
Are we
Fuego,
actually?
so they
isn't?
could come back from the dead theoretically, and they'd be
Queen.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Dead set.
Queen's. a
Yeah,
good one.
I don't want to apply any supernatural effects that I would like try to find a band that could even do that. That would.
I mean, I wanna
Yeah,
make a
I
Rolling Stones
think
joke.
we need to make sure it's actually a band that
They won't
could
stop.
do it. Not
Yeah.
necessarily like I mean like not could do it as in like they have to be alive or what. I mean could do it as in people would be like, oh my god, I am going to this.
yeah, got to get out
Okay,
there. I will
yeah.
fly no matter where it is.
Yeah, Queen is definitely up
What's-
there.
What's Bjork doing these days?
She actually just put out a video like 3 days ago. Not kidding.
Awesome. Sick.
Yeah.
Bjork's
It's-
doing these
it-
days?
the video is it's worth looking at that for the costumes alone. The costumes and the stuff in the video is awesome.
I feel like there was a duo between peak time Ziggy Stardust, like not Bowie, Ziggy, and Bjork. That should have happened. And I feel like if we could get that to happen, that would be a moment in time.
I would pay some good money
Me too.
for a peak Ziggy, David Bowie, Bjork
Yeah,
concert.
crossover. That'd
I
be
mean,
White Zombie.
you know.
White Zombie.
So Bjork is obviously the opening act in that, and
Yes.
she has to do a duet with David
And-
Bowie.
transitioning into yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
does, and then that's exactly. That's how it plays out. That has to be what's up.
Okay. I'm sure. I'm sticking with White Zombie, and then he gets his brother from Power Man 5000. They kind of do this like joint tour. I'd be excited for that. Corn.
They still do. They still sing.
Yeah.
No, they need to come back to her to do well.
They won't stop. Yeah.
This one is probably going to be the quickest one we've ever done. When was the last time you used black eyeliner or mascara?
Sunday.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was last Halloween or the Halloween before. But yeah, that was
I don't
me.
think I want to admit this.
Hey, Dustin.
Was it Sunday?
No, it's not Sunday. It was when I was in high school. I did Midsummer Night Dream play. Yeah.
And then there was the names and the things and whatever line Paul said before about
The names of the things,
clicks and the lines and the stuff.
Clicks,
and the
he had
bits.
to start wearing mascara to high school.
Yeah.
That was a traumatizing time. That
Didn't have to do anything.
Didn't have to. I chose to. I chose to. I don't think I've worn it for anything else.
Like I said, this is the palate cleanser. This is something we do kind of funny each and every week. Hope y'all have enjoyed this bit of a jaunt with us. It has been absolutely awesome spending this time with you. I know we went over time a bit. We sometimes do that with team events. This is otherwise an hour show we do each and every week to prepare you for what's coming up in the weekend meta of Warhammer 40,000. We're tracking it as it changes. We have our finger on the pulse. We're simply describing the meta. The players are defining it, and we're happy we get to talk about it. We're going to be back next week. Chat, you've been amazing. If you're listening to us after the fact, please leave us 5-star reviews, leave us a comment, leave a thumbs up or something. That's the easiest way to interact with the show. Don't forget to check out the other shows on the Frontline Gaming Network. We'll be back next week. We'll see y'all.
Wait, what are we doing next week?
Next week.
Next week. So we're going to do the run up to the London Grand Tournament. It's a massive, massive, massive tournament happening over there in the UK. And we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about a lot of the players you're going to see there. Maybe even talk about anything we know about the run up to that event. It's going to be amazing. We'll see y'all soon.
See you then, G.I. Joe.